In the world of recruitment, there's one little word that can stir up a whole lot of debate: exclusivity. So what's the deal? Is it just a self-serving demand from recruiters, or is it actually the secret sauce to a strategic partnership that gets incredible results? Well, let's get into it and find out.
And this really is the question that's at the heart of it all, isn't it? I mean, when a recruiter asks a client to work only with them, it can definitely feel like a bit of a power play. Like they're just trying to lock out the competition and make their own life easier. But is that what's really going on here?
And look, it's a totally understandable feeling. Of course recruiters want to improve their fill rates. Of course they want to reduce wasted effort. And yeah, there's some truth to that, but honestly, it's a tiny, tiny part of a much bigger picture. The real story here is all about the benefits for the client.
Okay, first things first. Just so we're all on the same page, let's do a quick run-through of the 3 main ways that clients and recruiters can work together.
So here they are, the big 3. First, you've got contingent. This is the one you see most often. It's kind of like a free-for-all where a bunch of agencies are racing and speed is absolutely everything. Then you've got exclusive, which is where things shift to a real partnership with just one agency, but still with no upfront cost. And finally, there's retained, which is the deepest level of commitment, where you've got some shared financial risk that really cements that partnership.
All right, now that we have the models down, let's do something important. We're going to flip the entire perspective. Instead of thinking about the recruiter, we're going to look at this whole thing completely from the client's point of view.
And hey, let's just be totally honest here. Full transparency. Of course there are benefits for us, the recruiters. It would be pretty silly to pretend there aren't. So yeah, let's just get those out on the table right now.
Yeah, of course. Working exclusively gives us more control over the process. It leads to higher fill rates. It is, frankly, a much nicer way to work. But see, all of these things are just happy consequences of doing things the right way. They are not the reason to choose this model in the first place.
And this is the most crucial point I want you to take away. All those benefits for us we just listed, they're secondary. The real, tangible, strategic value of working exclusively or on a retained basis is delivered directly to the client's business, to their brand, and ultimately to their bottom line.
This slide really shows that fundamental shift in what we're focused on. The contingent model. It's a race. It's a sprint that rewards speed, and that often comes at the expense of quality. An exclusive model completely flips that script. The focus becomes depth, precision, not just making a bunch of noise in the market.
So what does this actually mean for a client's business day-to-day? Well, it means their hiring managers aren't getting pulled in 10 different directions by 5 different agencies, all with different candidates and different terms. It means their brand is protected because there's just one consistent professional message going out into the market. Top candidates aren't getting hit up by 3 different recruiters for the exact same job, which, let's be honest, can make a company look disorganized or even a little desperate. At the end of the day, it completely changes the relationship from a simple, chaotic transaction to a real strategic partnership.
Okay, so the value for the client is super clear. But how do you actually frame this conversation so that it lands effectively? Well, the key is in understanding a little bit about the psychology of how we all make choices.
This right here is so important. We almost never look at one single option in a vacuum and make a simple yes or no decision. It's just not how our brains work. Instead, we weigh options against each other to figure out which one offers the best value.
So, how do we put this into practice? Well, instead of asking a client for a simple yes or no on exclusivity, you present them with 3 tiers of service. You see what's happening? You're not forcing a decision, you're structuring the choice. The whole question changes from, do I want to do this, to which one of these options is the best fit for me?
It's a principle you literally see everywhere. I mean, think about buying a car. There's always the basic model, then there's the well-equipped mid-tier, and then the fully loaded, all the bells and whistles premium version. Now, which one do most people end up picking? The middle one. It just feels like the smartest, most logical choice.
And it's the exact same thing with our phones, right? That Pro model, it always seems to hit that sweet spot right between the standard version and the top-of-the-line Pro Max. That premium option is there to make the middle one look like an absolutely fantastic value.
And this works in the B2B world too. Software is almost always sold in tiers: basic, professional, enterprise. By anchoring the conversation with a high-end option and a low-end option, that professional, or in our case, exclusive tier naturally just pops out as the most sensible path forward.
So where does all this lead? This isn't really just about a sales tactic.
This is about fundamentally changing your role. It's about moving from being just another supplier to becoming an indispensable strategic consultant.
I love this quote because it really gets to the absolute heart of the matter. The goal isn't to have control just for the sake of it, for your own ego. It's about having the control you need to deliver the highest quality service, to protect your client's brand, and to make sure you get the best possible outcome.
It's a really clear, logical path when you lay it out like this. If you want to be a true consultant, you have to have control of the process. In order to have control, you absolutely need clarity. And the only way to guarantee that clarity, free from all that market noise, is through an exclusive partnership. It's that simple.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. The model you choose to work in, well, it ultimately defines your role. So you have to ask yourself, are you happy just being a transactional supplier, constantly racing against the competition? Or do you want to be a strategic consultant, someone who actually shapes outcomes as a true partner? The choice is yours.